So, guys, let's continue with the next part. um, uh, I can, guys. Today's class is very much important in the terms of the overall picture, or I can say the overall scenario about the networking, right? So generally, whatever we have in the networking world, right, it would be mostly the main component of the networking world, or what we have in the networking world. It would be covered today. So I won't, guys, just try to focus every concept, and it is not about the AWS cloud, right? The concept that I'm going to explain you, if you go to any of the cloud environment or any of the general without cloud kind of infrastructure, general your lab or maybe a home network or a corporate network, right? This is the um, core of the network, and everywhere you will see this kind of setup. Okay, so again, I am discussing about the networking, but by chance, because we are into the cloud computing training that's called AWS. So finally, after having these networking concepts, your cloud will provide you, or after implementing this network a component or network concept and network services, cloud will provide you a NAS service. And because we are into the AWS cloud, so if you want to use the NAS services, then we have one service from the AWS called a virtual private cloud, that is called VPC. Okay, but according to me, I consider VPC as an infrastructure, because when I say infrastructure, everything come inside the infrastructure. Even NAS is also one of the part of the infrastructure as a service. It's called IaaS or as. Okay, so let's continue, guys. Before, guys, we'll go and discuss, and my today's if I told you the today's agenda. So in the VPC there is a lot of internal concepts. One of the concept is called NAT gateway. Okay, one of the concept is internet gateway. One of the concept is public or private subnet. One of the concept is called route or routing tables, and all those things, right? So in today's class, of all those component, and these are the one of the services inside the VPC, we are going to understand, and we are going to implement these things. And when I go for a NAT or internet gateway, you have to first understand the concept of NAT. And when I go for NAT, you have to go understand the concept called SNAT and DNAT. Okay, so maybe this word look very techy or very Greek to you, or those who are little bit new in the networking world. But guys, believe me, by the end of today's class, you will be comfortable with this vocabulary with the right use case. Okay, right use case. It takes around half an hour to explain you the concept. Then remaining time will go and implement the entire networking setup. Okay, and it is, again, it is not VPC. It is about anywhere you go in the today's networking world, this is the concept we require. And according to me, today's class is one of the most important class in the networking if you talk about the networking perspective. Okay, so let me start from here. And to understand the concept, okay, to understand the concept for today's, what I'm going to do, in my laptop, I have one virtual tool that's called Oracle Virtual Box. And here I have some operating system installed, and I can say here I have some VM installed. You can think it is like a EC2 instance installed in my laptop. Those who don't know this Oracle Virtual Box by chance. Okay, and what I'm going to do today, okay, right now, guys, I'm sitting in my home. And if you try to understand my home networking setup, and this setup would be exactly same you guys will have also have in your home, or maybe in your in your different labs or maybe in the corporate world. So my current setup in my home is something like this. For example, this is the entire premises of the border or the boundary of my home. And what I've done, right, because I want to launch one computer, or I might have one laptop, or maybe I might have multiple operating system, and one of the operating system in my case is this one. Maybe this is the virtual machine, but it is a real operating kind of thing, right? So I have multiple operating system in my home. And my requirement, I understand your requirement is, my requirement is I want this operating system will go to internet. And when I say internet, means there's lots of computers in the world, in multiple countries, in multiple cities, or maybe in my city. I want this computer will reach there. Maybe they can ping them, or the system can access their website, or mail systems, or chat programs, or maybe XYZ, right? So this is my final requirement, right? And because I want my computer can my laptop or my computer can reach to other laptops. So let's say there's a, if you guys think about, this is the whole world or whole web. And here in some of the country, let's say in US or USA, there's one computer, maybe VM or the server, and this VM and server is managed by a company called Google. Okay. And and in this system they have one, I know I'm talking very basic, but slowly you will check it makes a lot of sense to implement the very complex setup. So guys, please try to bear with me with very basic general discussion. Okay. And so these companies are managing their server, and say they, I have one website here, also known as web app. And anybody who would like to connect, they can come and see my website, like say Google search engine. Okay. Similarly, like Google company, there's a lot of hundreds and thousand company. All right, everybody has their own computers and own application, right? So what's my requirement? This is my computer, let's say this is Vimal OS, that's in my home. Okay. And what's my requirement is, my requirement is to connect my computer to Google. Not only Google, there's hundreds of computers in the world. So guys, I told you yesterday, if you want your computer can connect to other computers. Okay. The minimum and the first prerequisite is you should have a physical connectivity between both the computers. Or when I say physical connectivity, it means you should have some kind of wire connectivity, or wireless connectivity, or satellite connectivity, some kind of physical connectivity you need. Okay. But it what always guys, I today I'm connected to Google, or maybe in the future I would like to connect to Facebook or Twitter, hundreds of thousands computers in the world I would like to connect. So I can't manually go and connect to every computer in the world. Obviously it costs billions of dollars, right? Not logical, right? So that is a reason what normally we do, not what we normally do, we have certain company in the world, and they say in the world, in the web, there's lots of computer, and every computer has their own personal labs, own personal network. So what I'm going to do, so we have a lot of computers in the world, and all the computers, all the companies, and all the network. For example, if I go talk about Google, the Google has their own network, Facebook has their own network, and every network becomes the internet. And maybe guys, this is the reason why we say this called inter network, networks of network. So we have internet. So there's some company in the world, they say we are giving you some service for the internet. We are the service provider known as ISP. Maybe if you talk about India, in the Tata we have, Vodafone we have, Airtel we have, AT&T lab we have in US, or maybe in my case I'm using one company called BSNL or MTNL. So these are the company who are saying that we are the ISP, internet service provider. So what they are saying, actually what they're trying to say you here is, they say as a if you Vimal, if you become my client, so you don't have to worry about to connect to all the company and all the company in the world. Okay. This part we have done from my side. So my company has established a physical network with the internet. Means all the companies in the world, by somehow, that's not important right now, but somehow we have connected everybody or all the companies in the world, so we have physical connectivity. Okay, so if you want to go to internet, so do one thing, take a connection or internet connection for me, the way we do always, right? So what I did, I go to this ISP, apply for the internet connection, and these guys has given me one internet line, one physical line, maybe wireless or maybe wired, but in my case, in my home, it is a wired. Come in my telephone line, there's a different point, but it's a wired. And what they did, they put one device here in my home. And normally, guys, this device we normally say is a broadband or modem they put over here. And they say we put one modem in your home, and from this modem, you just go and connect to your laptop. And now it is your choice. You would have to connect with a wire, or you would like to connect with wireless. Right now in my laptop, I connected. If you see here in my laptop, I have connected with a wireless here. There's a different point, but uh, some kind of, again, physical network connectivity you want. Okay, so that this is very typical setup. I think everybody has the same setup. Now what happened, guys, if I would like to go to Google or Facebook or Twitter XYZ, so what I do, from my computer, packets, network packets go out. And because packet is just power or energy or signal, so they use this wire. They first reach to my modem, and from the modem, they have one more wire that go to this company BSNL, and from the BSNL or some of the telecom company, they reach to those servers, and they will reply me back. So technically, technically, if you talk about this computer and this computer, these two computers want to connect, and they have end-to-end physical network connectivity. That's what, guys, I told you yesterday. The first step, I need physical network connectivity. So I have this thing. So I can say my computer can connect to Google. Okay. Second requirement we have is here is I require one network card. I told you yesterday that I have. For example, this is my computer. This is my computer, and this computer would like to go to internet. Okay, this computer would like to go to internet, and so this computer, guys, require sorry guys, this computer require one network card. So in my case, I have configured one command in Linux. So if you run this command and if you go up, so go up, I have this network card. So I have this network card. So in my case, if you talk about my laptop, sorry, so if you go to my network, I have one network card. Or it would be any name, but I have one network card. Similarly, Google server also have some network card. What's the name they have is not important, but both the side has a network card. Third requirement is both the side should have the IP. And now from here, the important discussion gonna start. So in my network card, I have the IP address, and Google network card, they also have the IP address. By chance, I know one of the Google has a lot of computers and server. By chance, I know one of the IP of the Google. So what I'm trying to do here, from my computer, I am trying to check the connectivity Google. So what I'm doing here, I'm pinging to one of the IP of the Google. This is one of the server of the Google. By chance, Google DNS, but it is one of the server. And what can I see? I can see I have a connectivity with the Google server. 3 packet I send and 3 packet I receive. So technically I have connected. Or in the simple time, you guys can say we have an internet connectivity. Why we say internet connectivity? Because we can connect to any of the computer in the internet. Very straightforward. Okay. And why we can connect? Because my computer also have IP address and Google also have the IP address. Google IP we know, and my computer IP address, you can use this command ifconfig, and you can see this is a IP of my computer. So let me write over here. Okay. So guys, just give me 5 minutes. I'm coming to my main topic. Okay. But in my case, the IP of my computer is, or my laptop or my VM is 129 and 129, and IP of Google, one of the system and computer of Google is this one. Okay, this one we have. But understand one thing, by looking at both the IP, by looking at the both the IP, if you see, guys, this IP start from 8 and this IP start from 192, 192. So guys, if you understood subnetting or not, net mask or not, the way I just introduced you yesterday, if you understood or if you don't understood, it's not important, but always it look like if this IP start from 192 and this IP start from 8, and I told you guys, every IP has their own network name. So guys, if you understood the network name or if you don't understand network name, by chance, this computer network name is this one. It is a 3 octet. Or let's say Google network name might be this one, this one, this one. It's not important right now. but always anybody can figure out both the IP, all right, has the IP, but both the IP should and technically belongs to different network. And because both the IP belongs to different network, and if you want to connect two computer that has a they have their own IP address, and all the IP belongs to different network. So if you want to connect two different network, we need one router. We need one router. Without the router, it won't connect. Okay, and that is a reason, guys. That is one of the reason why your ISP provide you one broadband or one modem. Because normally we use the word called modem for some reason, but actually if you try to understand, if you go inside the modem is not exactly the modem, it is also work like a router. So whatever the modem you see in your home, it is also work like a real physical router. So technically, because you have a router at your home, that is a reason from your home, you can go out, you can connect to other network. Because this is the IP of the Google. Facebook have a different IP that belong to different network. Twitter has different IP, they belong to a different network. So why my computer can connect to any of the network or any of the network IPs? Because we have the modem or we have the router. Okay, this is one thing. So guys, this was my fourth step yesterday. If two IP you want to connect, and if they are come from a different network or different network range, range, you need a router. And because we have the router, that is, we can connect. And maybe there might be possibility, maybe in your home you don't have a modem. Most of the guys, we do, we use a mobile phone. And mobile phone, normally what we do, we enable the hotspot. That's called mobile internet sharing. Okay, and you know what, guys, whenever you create your mobile phone as a hotspot, and then connect your laptop to your mobile phone, you know what happens, guys? As soon as you enable the hotspot in your mobile phone, your mobile phone automatic become a router. So hotspot, that a feature in in our mobile phone, you know what it happen, what is do it create your mobile phone and convert into router. Okay, so hotspot also makes your mobile phone out, and that is the reason with your mobile phone you can go to the internet. Otherwise, without the router, it won't possible to go to the internet. Okay, so till here, guys, we have discussed yesterday, but I just want to draw the diagram of what actually exists in the current home network or any of the network, college or university or company's network. This is very typical setup. But today's the important point here that we should know, and very important to understand, guys. And from here I'm going to start my today's topic. Okay, so most important thing for today is, but before this, let me try to give you one more information here, right? You know what, guys, there might be possibility in your home you have one more laptop. Let's say this is the laptop number B, this is laptop number A. Okay, and obviously this laptop, again, you connect with the wireless or wired with your modem. This means called router. And let's say this computer will get a different IP address, let's say 130. Okay, so in this case, guys, if B also want to go to internet, okay, then obviously these guys also have to use a router. Okay, but you can think in this way also, right? You know what you have to do? You have to tell the A in your home, you have to tell the B in your home. You know what you have to tell, that A and B, you are two different computers. And if your requirement is to go to the internet, or I can say in the other world, if you want to go and connect to any of the network, or somewhere here, in this case web or internet on the world, or I can say one more way, okay, if you want to connect any of the IP in the world, or I can say in one more way, if you want to connect to 0.0.0.0, because, guys, maybe in my summer class told you, this is the one of the special IP, and this IP means any IP in the world. So you know what I'm trying to tell you here is, you have to tell to the A, if you want to go to internet or you want to connect any IP in the world, there is only one way possible. Okay, and the one way is, in your home you have one router. So you have to go to the router, and router is the one who will take you to our ISP. ISP is the one who will connect to the entire world. it means it means you can think in this way. If you think in this way, this is one of the room in your home, this is one of the room in your home, and this is your entire home. And you can say, if you want to go and meet to other person in anywhere in the world, any of the city, any home you want to go, right? The only way that is available in the home is this one. So you have to go out. And for, for us, this is what is a gate of our home. Or I can use one more word here, it's called gateway. And guys, that is a reason a router is a device, and router responsibility is to work as a gateway. And that is a reason most of the time we always use the word, either the router or either we use the word called gateway. So router work as a gateway for us. Okay. But guys, understand one thing. Let's say you're sitting in this room, you're sitting in this room, and you want to go out from your house. Okay. But you don't know where is the gateway to go out, or which is your main gate to go out. So obviously, guys, you can't go out. Okay. So if you are sitting in this room number B, or I can say if you're sitting in this computer. And why I'm saying this, because normally in the computer we have the program, and program is the one who go out. For example, one of the program name is called Firefox. So Firefox is the one who create packets, and packets is the one who go out. So consider this Firefox is you, and this B is not a computer. B is your one of the room. Okay, here the B is the one of the operating system. So if you Firefox or you would like to go out, so if you don't know where is the main gate of your home that take you to the entire world, you can't go out. So why I'm saying this? Because there's one more step, guys. If you want from your laptop and you want to connect to anybody in the entire world, so there's one more step you have to consider, that if to your laptop and to your computer, you have to tell where is your gateway for the internet. Okay, and which is the gateway, which is the router. Maybe in your home you have multiple room or multiple gate, but there's one main gate in your house that take you out. Or in this networking world, this main gate is known as internet gate or internet gateway. Okay, and normally, mostly in our case, this internet gateway is your modem given by ISP, because modem has a physical line to your ISP. So this is called IGW, internet gateway. So this is a guy short form we use, IGW, and internet gateway is a technical term here. Okay, so my point over here is, if none of the program or your operating system doesn't know, okay, who is your internet gateway, it is impossible to go to the internet. Okay, so you know what, guys, in your house or in your house, all the computer right now, in my case my laptop, right, they should know if they want to go out 0.0.0.0 anywhere in the world. Okay, who is the internet gateway, or who is the router for them. And by chance, if you talk about my this laptop or my Windows laptop, right, if because you can ping to one of the Google IP, it means this laptop know, or this VM know in my house where is the internet gateway, where my mod. And understand one thing, in the networking world, for the human being, I can say there is one person, right? We can use our arrow or finger to point, right? But for the computer, they don't understand points and which direction they are. They only understand the IP address. Okay, and that is a reason, right? A router should have a one IP address. So router guys also have one network card here. Okay, and this network card also have one IP address. Let's say the IP address is 192.168, let's say 0 point, let's say 1. Okay, so what you have to tell to your computers, let's say B, if you want to go to internet, okay, obviously you should know the IP of Google or name of Google, right? But this is the person, or this is the location of my main gateway, internet gateway. So first do one thing, create a packet, go here. Okay, meet to this router, and they are the one who give the direction and the path to where to go next. And that might be reason, guys, this is not a route or router, because they are the one who give the next route where to go. It means if any of the computer right now, even if you see here, right, they know where is the gateway. And how can you confirm, right? This is my Linux system. There's one command in Linux. You can use the command called route -n. And guys, in this command, it is very clearly mentioned, right? They say if you want to go anywhere in the world, it's called destination. And if you see guys here, it is in 0.0.00. It means anywhere in the world. Okay, who gonna help you? Some gateway. And we have one main gateway or one internet gateway. And in my case, guys, this is the IP. And guys, believe me, right now in my home, I have physical router, or can say physical modem, and that modem is not my laptop, is a different device altogether. You also have, okay, and this is the IP of my modem. And guys, if you connect your laptop with your mobile hotspot, then this would be the IP of your mobile hotspot. Like your mobile hotspot will work as a gateway that or router at that point in time. Okay, so this command, let me share, pretty straightforward command in Linux, but similar kind of command we have in Windows also. Okay, okay. So what they do? Okay, so they say, computer B say, because I know, I know this is the IP of my router, so I will go here and they will one who will connect me and take me to the ISP. But understand one thing, understand one thing. Let's say you have an entire setup. The diagram that I show you, we have physical connectivity between my computer to Google. You have wires, you have wireless, you have IP, you have network card, you have router. Everything is in place. Okay, but if you forgot, if you forgot to update your OS, that OS, that I'm going to give you one information, and the information is, if you want to go to internet, this is the IP who gonna help you. And guys, if you forget to update this information, you know what happened? Let me show you. Okay, and even though for showing this, let me open my one browser over here. So let me show you. So right now, guys, if you see here, if I open any of the website, everything work great. Because I have the entire network established. Okay, and what I have, let me show you. But right now, if I try to open Google, one minute, working great. There is opening and you get the site. Okay, why? Because this entire setup we had. But just one thing, if I remove from my computer, maybe from Windows or maybe from any of the OS, maybe from Android OS of your mobile phone, if you remove this information, which information, anywhere you want to go, this is the gateway. Okay, you know what happened? Let me show you. Guys, I'm showing you one command. This command actually is command of Linux. Just for demonstration, I'm showing you. So what I'm telling to my Linux that there is a one information about some network. This called 0.0.0. Okay, do one thing, remove this information, delete. Okay, and guys, this is also one kind of network. Network means every anywhere or any all the IP in the world. So what happened, guys? From my laptop, this information removed. So I just remove this information, this information. Otherwise, my entire setup is same. Everything there. Even though my ISP working, Google IP working, even though my modem also have a network connectivity. If I go to my modem, because we have also way to go inside the modem, a router. From here we have physical connectivity. Everything's working good. But if I go to my this B computer, and now again, if I try to ping to any of the IP, directly say network is unreachable. And if you, even though guys, if you try to refresh this page, unable to connect, just by removing one information. So two things I'm just trying to prove here, or going to tell you here is, first of all, if you want, your computer can connect to other network, or you are in the other network and you want to connect to other network. Okay, it is important to tell to your computer information where is your main internet gateway or router. Okay, this is one thing. And second thing I'm just want to tell you here is, right, is if sometime your computer is not able to go to the internet, it's not because your ISP don't have an internet connectivity. For the ISP perspective of your home modem perspective, everything is good. There is no challenge, right? Even though I can go inside the router and from there I can try to ping to Google, I can do it. Okay, so there might be possibility in your computer you might have missed and removed some information. Maybe there's a one thing. Okay, but that's why I show you manually remove this guy. And third, one more small thing. So if you want your computer to connect to outside world without having this information, where is your router or where your gateway, it is impossible to go out. And guys, by chance in the technological world or networking world, this information is known as default gateway. So if you don't have a default gateway information, I mean default means your main gateway information, it is impossible your computer can go out. Okay, so what I'm doing here, let me add this information again. So command is router add, and I say if you want to go to anywhere in the world, my gateway, by chance I know already this was the IP. In your case, your IP might be different. Okay, and I've added. So again, this information come up, and as soon as this information come up, I can again go to the way we go always. Okay, but I just want to prove you that having this information of gateway is important. And guys, this rather than I can say this is a default gateway, this is a normal term. Okay, we use for this particular line. But if you guys see here, there are a lot of lines here. I'm not going to explain you the meaning of this line because we are not in the proper networking class. But if you talk about this, all the information, this information is known as a routing table. And a lot of guys think routing table is only available in the router, but it's not, guys, like this. All the computer in the world, my mobile phone, laptop, palm top, your tablets, everywhere, whenever you have the operating system, or I can say the network card or wireless card, you have a routing table. So your computers also have a routing table. For example, if I go to my Windows and if I open my command prompt of the Windows, this also have a routing table. How I can say there's a command in the Windows called route print. So this is a command normally we use in the Windows. This guy also have a routing table. A lot of guys here, lots of information they show you, and one of the information they show you that I am the Windows and my routing table is I will have to go to anywhere in the world. Again, this is the one gateway I'm using. Because guys, in my case, I have only one single modem from the BSNL, and I have putting a lot of computers the way I show you in this diagram. Okay, so technically, technically, what I'm talking about, if your computer don't have a routing table, they won't able to go to the internet, or maybe not able to connect to local computer also. That is not important, but they won't able to go to internet. That's what I like to prove here. Okay, and this is very important. Why is important? Because if you go to a VPC, let me go to my VPC. There's one dedicated tab in the VPC for routing table. For the routing table, I'm going to show you how to configure there. But if you see here, I'm inside the VPC page, and there's an option here called a routing table. Even though there's one more dedicated link here, is called internet gateway. So this routing table, they are talking about this one. Okay, and this internet gateway, they are talking about your router and modem. You can think there's some small difference, but yeah, they're talking more about a router or the modem. Okay, so if you want to create the same kind of network um, on the AWS cloud using VPC, okay, or complete infrastructure there, so you should know this concept of internet gateway and routing table that I explained you there. But one more thing, guys, you should know before we move to a practical of complete setup in the VPC. One more concept, guys, you should know. The concept is, okay, there's one rule in the networking world. Okay, there's one rule in the networking world that is about the IP address. Okay, so there's two different kind of IP, guys, in the world. One is the public IP. Sometimes we can also use the word called real IP, and one is called private IP. Okay, there's two different kind of IP. The difference is the difference is if you want to if you use public IP, this IP come free. You don't have to pay anything to any company in the world. But if you use public IP, then if you want public IP and you want this public IP to be put in your laptop. You have to go to your ISP. In my case, it's BSNL. You have to buy the IP from this guy, or take a rent of IP from that guy, and they will charge you per monthly basis, per yearly, depend how you take a lease from these guys. You have to pay for that IP. That's one of the difference. Okay, but point guys, if we have to pay to for real public IP, so why we go to public IP? Better go for private. Answer yes, why not? But the one challenge in the in the private IP is, and that's important to know, right? If your laptop has a private IP, using the private IP, it is impossible to go to internet. Okay, so if your laptop or VM or mobile phone has a private IP, you can't go to internet. But if your laptop or your mobile phone has a public IP, one of the benefits of public IP, using this IP, you can go to internet. Internet means you can connect to any of the computer on the internet, like Google or Facebook. So if I say this, it means it will always everybody needs public IP, obviously. But if you use public IP, you have to pay. Okay, but point is, guys, here is everybody is using internet. Everybody has internet in your laptop. Okay, for example, in my case, my this laptop, where it is, one minute. Yeah, so my this laptop also have internet connectivity. When this is one of the IP Google, I can connectivity. So because I can connect to Google, it means my laptop should require public IP. Okay, and I told you guys, without public IP, it is impossible to go to internet. Okay, but you know what? In this is a rule, or we have to follow this rule. Okay, but if I go and check my IP, this is one of my network card, right? I have this IP, and technically, if you try to understand a little bit of networking, this IP, or I can say any IP that start for 192 or 168 something, right, is not a public IP. It is a private IP. There's some rule. How I know? We can, if you just go to Google and search private IP address range. So this is a range you can see here. Any IP who come in this range, or in this range, or in this range, bright, are the private IPs. They are free. You can use any of the IP. You don't have to take the any approval from any company. You can freely use this IP. You don't have to pay. But if you use this IP, by using this IP, it is impossible to go to internet. But interesting thing is, I am saying, if you have this IP in a laptop, it is impossible to go to internet. But I am going here, right? I have a connectivity. How is possible? Okay, so how is possible, right? That logically you can't go to internet, but how is possible? I am having private IP, but I can go to internet. But who created this rule? Technically, it's a rule created by some kind of communities, and normally your ISPs is the one who follow this rule. So it is something like this. You know what happened, right? When my laptop A having this IP, try to connect to Google. And guys, please try to understand this concept. I'm going a little bit slowly because I'm moving to one of the very interesting or core concept of networking. Okay, so example, right now, right now, let's say this same setup. This is my actual IP in my laptop. And according to rule, I show you in my this Google document. I know I have the private IP. So because I have the private IP, and I'm trying to go to internet and try to connect to this guy. This IP is one somewhere on the internet. So guys, when you try to connect to some of the IP, what you do? Okay, your computer normally create a packet. Or in the packet, you write two things, or maybe some data, but there's two important things that go inside your packet. One is your IP. So you write your IP here, that I am IP129. I would like to go somewhere. And where I would like to go? I would like to go to this IP. So technically in the packets, or it's called network packet, you write my IP is called source IP. So your IP, or I can say the computer who create a packet, they put their IP, and they in the packet they write that I am the source IP. And wherever you guys are going, Okay, so in the packet you write, I would have to go here. Obviously, how otherwise packet know where I have to go? So you write there my destination IP. And again, this term is important in future discussion. We're going to discuss use this term, the source IP and destination IP, and we put some other data in this packet. And this is the network packet, like packet like this. They go and reach to the router because there is no other way to go out. They go and reach to the router, and router is a beautiful device. They say, hey, I understood you would like to go to this route or this location. I help you. So I have one line from the ISP, so I'll send your packet to the ISP. So finally this packet reach to the ISP. And now guys, if anybody work on any advanced network devices, so there's a lot of guys advanced router come in the market, and they are known as ISPs router. So they have their special router, work like a real router, but they have a specialized high end router. Okay. Oh, in this router, you know what, they have some rules. And you know what their rule have, right? So as soon as this packet, this the way I draw in this green line, the packet would reach to ISP say where you would like to go. So your packet say I would like to go to this IP address. So IP say yes, I have the whole internet connectivity, I can take you there. But from where are you coming from? So your packet say I'm coming from this IP source IP. So ISP router or device say, hey, I can see one thing that you are coming from this IP, your source is this IP, and your IP start from this range, or IP start from this range, and this range belongs to private. And because this range belongs to private, so none of the private IP allowed to go to the internet. And who said? And there's one of the device in the ISP who has this rule. And you know what happened there here? Your ISP drop your packet. ISP drop this packet is coming over here. They dropped here. They won't allow you. And one of the reason, maybe from our business perspective, ISP say you are using the IP and this is a free IP. Why I allow free IP to go to internet? If all the free IP go to internet, how from where we will earn the where we run the business? This might be, you can think in this way also. Okay, so technically these rules is normally created by network guys or communities guys or all the ISP in the world. Okay, and this rule, if you guys ever work on ISP router, inside the router literally they have this rule created. You can see these three lines: any IP come from these IPs or packet come from this IP, drop these guys. This is literal rule available inside the internet ISP's router, internet service provider router, like BSNL or Airtel. Okay, so so my point here is, right, so interesting point here is, it means my ISP here, BSNL, is not allowing this IP. This is true, answer yes. So how is possible I can reach to Google? And how I know how I can reach to Google? Because Google is replying to me, or because they are replying, that is I receive two packets. So if my ISP is denying my IP address, so how is possible that I can go and reach to to the internet, or they are replying to me? Okay, how is possible? So guys, for this there is one interesting concept happening, and the interesting concept is something like this. And for this, let me explain you with a little bit in a clean diagram. Okay, so again, let me take the same diagram. This is my home, and and here we have, I have one computer, and my computer IP is 192.168.0.129, and I have one router, or I can say modem over here. And this is sorry, this is my ISP, and here we have a whole internet, let's say one of the IP of Google. Okay, now you know what happened, guys. Okay, whenever you talk about router, normally guys, router come with two network card. This is the one network card they have in the router, and when one of the network card they have in the router. Okay, and the network card that you see in your right side, this network card is connected with the wire, and this wire come from your ISP. Maybe telephone line come from ISP, or this network wire is connected to this network NIC device or network card. And because this network card is directly connected to ISP, so this network card or this port, I can say, is also known as WAN port. WAN means wide area network, means this is the port or wire that connected finally to the internet, to the wide area. So it's also known as sometimes WAN port. So if you see your home router and modem, just go and check. There's one wire connected from the telephone line. If you have broadband, so there they have written this is called WAN port. But this side they also have line, and this line maybe wireless or maybe wire, and depend guys. So these guys are connected to your computers or laptops, maybe wirelessly wired, or because they are connected to your home network or your internet network, or I can say LAN. So this is called LAN port. And LAN, I little bit tried to also explain yesterday, is also like a private world, your own personal private world. Okay, so now what I'm talking about, I already explained you guys. This is your A is one of your room. You are inside the room. You are one kind of program. So if you don't want to go out, so you should know the IP of the router. Okay, here the IP that you know is the one, okay, that has a DAC connectivity. So because you are connected to this LAN or this network card, so this IP you know. So in my case, the IP of my router that is given in this network card is this one. Okay, so guys, my current setup is something like this, but you know what? Okay, the line on which your ISP connected, this also a port, this also a network card, and ISP has also allocated one IP to this port or network card. Let's say this IP is 1.2.3.4. So technically, if you go inside the router have two network card, and both and guys, we always give IP to the network card. So whatever IP you give to your left network card is the one that has a direct connectivity to your internal computers. An IP that your ISP given to this router is the one who has a connectivity with the ISP, and from the ISP to the entire world. Now, important point here is, right, because this port is a one network card, also known as WAN port, internal port. ISP always give IP to this port, right, is the public IP, is a public IP. Okay, why? Because ISP say, you come to me and I am the one who give your router modem to you. And why we give this router modem to you, through which, through this we can go to internet. And because you want to go to internet or any other IP in the world, so it is only possible, only possible if you have public IP. But I am not giving this computer to you, but I am giving router to you. So I attach the public IP to your router and your modem. Okay. Now the challenge here is, it means in your home somewhere you have public IP. And I told you already, guys, if you want to go to internet, you need a public IP. That's for sure. There's no other rule. You have to use some public IP. Okay, you can, wherever you go, guys. This is the rule you have to follow in the entire world, right? Now, important point here is, right, now in this scenario, finally you have public IP in your home, but this public IP is there inside the router. Okay, but guys, we never go to internet first. We never go to router first, then go to internet. We always try to go to internet, or we always go to internet from our laptops and VMs and our mobile phones. The challenge we have here is, right, challenge we have here is, A is one laptop having 129. This guy want to go to internet, but these guys don't have a public IP. That this guy has a private IP. Now what can we do? Okay, so so guys, you know what we do here? Our router help us in one way. What a router has done, they have one interesting feature, and that feature is by default enable normally in your home router. And what feature they enable? They have enabled one feature and say, if anybody from my inside world, from my LAN or my private world, come and want to go out. Okay, and how they come? Obviously with the help of packet. And how the packet look like? The packet look something like this. So packet looks something like this. So they come and they say, my IP is called source IP is, again, same packet I'm drawing here is this one. And I would have to go to my destination, that's called 8.8.8.8. So this packet reach to router, and before router send this packet to the ISP. And guys, by chance, this feature in the router is called IP forwarding. So before guys, your router do IP forwarding, means packet forwarding, and send to the ISP, a router has one interesting feature enabled, especially in your home router or hotspot or modem. And the feature is what a router do. It is written the router and say if you directly forward the packet to the ISP drop the packet because this source IP is a private IP. So what router do? Router before they forward the packet, they change this address. Okay, they remove this address and replace this address with their public IP, with the router own public IP, and update here. So what they do, they change the address or they translate the address of what? Of this IP or network. It's called network. And guys, this feature that I say is enabled is called network address translation. So finally, guys, packet look like this. And now after this, router will send this packet to the ISP. And as soon as the ISP get this packet, okay, ISP get this packet, okay, ISP say where you would like to go. You say here, so ISP say I can take you there because I have a whole internet connectivity. But from where you are coming, now this packet say I'm coming from this IP. And IP say, hey, this is the IP that is assigned by me, and this IP is not the is not the private IP, is a public IP. Any IP that is not belong to this range is a public IP. Because this is public IP, so it's allowed. So I'm not denying you, I'm not dropping you. So I'm the one who take you to the internet. And if you reach here, finally, if you use the Google, according to Google, this packet reach. So according to Google, you know what they see? They see this IP. They never see your real IP. So according to Google, they think it is this packet is coming from my IP. And whatever request you did, you have done. Google reply you, and you know what? When they reply, they again create a packet, and in this packet this time they say now my source IP is obviously I'm a Google, so this is my IP, and where I'm replying from where a request come from, and request actually come from this IP. So they reply to this guy. And the good thing about the public IP is, right, if you have some public IP and this is the unique IP in the world, nobody in the world will have the same IP. This is one more great thing of public IP. So for example, if you have one public IP, maybe in your router, maybe in your, maybe sometime we have way to directly connect to the laptop, let's say 1.2.3.4. So nobody in the world should have or would have or not possible to have the same IP. Or because this IP is given to my home router by one of the ISP. So none of the ISP in the world, they can provide other router or other computers in the world. So this IP is right now belongs to me. Nobody will have the same IP. So when the Google reply, this company reply, they will also have some ISP other connectivity. They reach to me and my ISP say, hey, this IP belong to one of my customer. Okay, so I'll send this packet to this computer. And when this packet come back to this router and say, hey, this is your IP, router say, yeah, this is one of the IP. This is my IP. Or router know internally. The router know internally. Okay, that is okay. Any packet that's come back to me on this IP, this is real. This is actually my IP, but initially I netted this request. Actually, this request origin from this IP, origin from 129. The router know internally. So they maintain this thing as technically it's called netting table. So they maintain this table, okay, so that when the reply come up, router again, this packet come to a router. And after this packet reached to router, what router did, again they removed this destination IP and again replaced the IP to the real IP 129. And this packet router reply back to this guy. So interesting thing, guys, if you notice here, according to A, they are going to this IP and same IP replying to A. So A never know this is happening behind the scene because they are actually sending the request to IP8 and IP8 is the one replying this guy. See here, say this packet reached to 129. Well, this is the one he's replying. So they, according to AI, they think we have a DAC connectivity 8.8. Even though I have private IP, I can go directly to the internet, but it's not like happening behind the scene. Or according to IP 8.8, they never know, they never know from where the request originated, who is the source real IP. They always see the IP that is public IP or IP that's associated with the router, IP associated with the router. Okay, and they reply here, and this is the game and the magic of the router. That's called NAT or netting. They have done all the thing for you. And what router actually doing? They are changing the source IP. So when the source this when this is the source IP, they're changing source IP, and that is the reason, guys. This kind of netting is known as SNAT, source netting. So I can say all the modem that you have or hotspot in a mobile phone by default have S netting enabled. Otherwise, it is impossible to go to the internet. You know what, guys? Technically, you can think in this way: whenever you go to Google or Gmail or Facebook, they never see your real IP of your laptop. They can't see because it's not. It is not going to because it's not going to internet. How they can see? They never see your private IP. Okay, they always see the IP that is associated with your router. Okay, and that is a reason. That is a reason, guys. If you go to Google, okay, they know from where the request come up, but they never know my. For example, right now this is Windows, and if I see this is a command of Windows to see the IP address, IP config. Okay, and the IP of my Windows is this one. They can't see this IP. Okay, because the IP is there, is not going out to the internet. Which IP is going to internet? Okay, again, not my gateway IP, because my router gateway has two. This default gateway has two different IPs, but my which IP is going to my out is my router WAN port IP. Okay, so it means if you know this search, what is my IP? So you're asking Google, Google, do you know my IP? Google say yes, I know, because you're coming to me, and when you coming to me, packets come to from your laptop, and because packet come from laptop, so I know your IP. But you know what IP your um, everywhere in the world, all the computers see is this one. Okay. According to Google, Facebook, wherever you go, guys, you go to internet, right? According to in my scenario, they are saying this IP. Or guys, this IP, if you ask to my this computer, or if I ask to my Windows, do you have any idea and which computer belongs to this IP? They don't have any idea. This IP is not at all associated belongs to my computer. Even though any request that is going from my laptop to internet internally, this is the source IP is going. Okay, because it is a game of the router. Means actually in my right now in my case, this IP. Let me use the word 59. This 59 is actually here. Let me remove this number. Is 59, 59 point something something. And who gave this IP? My ISP here, maybe BSNL. To whom? To my router in this network card WAN port. Why? Because we need public IP at least to go to internet. To internet. Okay. So technically, guys, it's not the setup for my laptop. It is the entire setup. You also have the same setup, right? If you try to use my IP command or other way also to what is my IP address websites, you can see your public IP. Let's see your public IP, but it's not associated to your laptop VMs. It is associated to your home modem and router and maybe your mobile hotspots. Okay, there's one thing. Okay, this concept is called SNAT or source netting. Okay, so I think you understood the concept of public and the private. Okay, a point maybe you guys might think, okay, if so why we do in this so much complex way? Why not we or ISP, because ISP has to give one public IP. So why you associate this public IP router directly attach this public IP to computer, right? We can do this. Answer is, can we do? Answer yes, we have some way we can do this. This is not big deal. But why we are not doing this? Because ISP is only giving you one single public IP. And that might be reason, guys, why they charge you per month basis. So, per month bill you have in the broadband, that is a complete bill for your network connection also, data transfer also. And plus some inside the bill, they might charge you per month rent of public IP also. So then they want not showing you extra, but in totality they somewhere some amount they also charging for the public IP also, because they also have to pay some public IP somewhere of maybe some national body, something like this, or national backbone. Okay, but point is, guys, can we associate this public IP, make it pretty straightforward? Why we have to go to this long route directly attached to the computer? Can we do this? Answer is yes. But why we are not doing this? Because we need this kind of setup. Okay, for example, if you talk about your home network again, so we have this entire home, and in your home, guys, obviously normally you have only one single modem or router. Means you have only one single line coming from BSNL. Means you have only one public IP. Okay, public IP. But in your home, you have multiple computers, multiple laptops, mobile phones, and tablets maybe, and everything, all the devices in your home, obviously because they have connected to internet, they should have network connectivity, and they should have some IP. So maybe this computer IP might be 0. Let's say 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so because these are the different devices, they require different IP, so they have the different IP. But if they want to go to internet, so all the devices should configure that where is my internet gateway. So these guys know this is my internet, this is my internet, this is my router, or this is my, I can say, internet gateway or gateway. But you know what? When any of the requests originate from any of the devices, for example, this system want to go to Google, right? So first packet go to router. A router see the source IP3. But router know this IP is a private, so this ISP will discard the request. So router again do the netting for this guy and change this IP to the router own IP, for example, 1.2.3.4. And from here, they send the request to internet. But at the same time, if IP5 also sending the request to router, IP is different. But router again change this IP and replace the same IP. So in your home, guys, if you use any of the devices, just right now, if you want to check, you can just check this point. If you use any of the laptop and try to write this command, what is my IP address? Any of the computer you use in your laptop, you will see the same IP. Because this IP belong to router public IP, and this is IP who go out to from your home. That's how it's works. So this is very common setup. Yeah, if you think you have only one computer and only want to use one computer, in this case, there's some way we can associate this public IP directly to the computer. We don't need the netting in my router, but normally normally in our own lab or in our own room, I guess this word I given to you, this your entire room, or I can say this entire lab, or in the AWS perspective is called entire subnet. So in one subnet we have lots of computers. Okay, and to save the money, we give all the computer a private IP. A private IP. And in most of the cases, I want all the computer will go to internet. So just one public IP is more than enough to take you to the internet. And guys, netting is a lot of advanced things in the netting. I just want to discuss there. Maybe you guys might ask how they come to know when the reply come up. If the requests go from IP2 and 3 and 5 in the same time, how they come to know and how they differentiate the request. So there's a lot of other things your router associate is called sessions they associate. There's different points. So don't ask this thing to me because this is not the actual netting. I'm trying to explain you as much as I can, but there's a lot of things in the netting concepts. Okay, so maybe in your subnet you might have thousands of computers, but just why one ping a single public IP associated in your internet gateway would be enough to take you to the internet. Okay, now one more important thing is, it is again not about saving the money and the cost. Finally, you're saving something, but it's not about saving the money. Okay. There's one more interesting thing is about the private IP. Private IP, guys, is always give you a security, and then very advanced security, I can say. And according to me, this is one of the biggest security I can say that private IP give to you. What I mean by this, okay. For example, if I ask you guys one small thing here and one small question here, okay, which operating system in the world is the most secure operating system? Which one? Linux or Windows, Mac, XP, Windows XP, Vista? Which one? Which operating system in the world is the most secure operating system? You know what the answer is, right? You know what the answer is? The operating system or the computer that is not connected to the network. Okay, that's not connected to network. If nobody is connected physically, I can say connected with a physical network, so it is impossible. Nobody from outside world can come in. Maybe this OS might be one of the worst component in terms of security. Let's say a lot of guys say Windows XP has a lot of exploits and vulnerability. Maybe let's say this Windows XP, but Windows XP is not connected to the network or internet, so nobody can come in. It's impossible to come. If it's impossible to come in, so how somebody can hack this guy? So it means the OS that don't have a network connectivity, or OS, I can say the word called isolated. So anybody that is isolated, they don't have a network connectivity, the best secure system in the world. And guys, that's exact facility given by your private IP. So any company who has the private, sorry, any computer who has a private IP, they don't have a internet connectivity. Okay, in both the side. So, example, this is the one of the computer, and this is one of the computer on the internet. May say this computer belongs to one hacker computers, and this is your computer, and if your IP is a private IP, in this case, neither you can go to internet, neither nobody can come in also. Okay, maybe you might have wire, but it's impossible because your ISP won't send the packet there. So maybe this is because of the ISP, maybe, or because nobody can come in to your IP. First of all, nobody can know your IP, because I told, so explain you in this example, right? Your IP never go to internet, so how somebody or anybody can come in? Okay, so mm, private ISP is not meant for security, but by the design, it makes but obvious that private IP give you extra security, because private IP is always isolate you guys from the internet world. And normally mostly attacks come from internet. Yeah, if somebody try to attack from inside world, there's a different point. Here I'm most mainly talking about the web or internet perspective. So the good thing about the private IP is it give you extra security. That's called isolation. But yeah, if by chance you have a public IP, so your computer is visible to entire internet. And guys, in the internet, there are a lot of hackers just keep on scanning the net, and whenever they find some kind of weak computer, they try to attack those guys. So anybody has a public IP, it means they have a direct internet visibility. Okay, and that is one of the reason, guys, why router normally hacker try to first attack the router, and from the router they attack other things. But anybody who has a public IP has a direct visibility. And again, guys, this point is also very important, because in some example, I'm going to use this concept. Okay. So finally, the conclusion, guys, over here is, right, if you have a private IP, you can't able to connect public IP. If you have public IP, from the public IP, you won't able to connect a private IP. So this connectivity impossible, and this connectivity is also impossible. But if you have a public IP and you want to connect to any of the public IP in the world, this connectivity is possible. This connectivity is possible. But if you have a private IP and you want to connect with other private IP, this part is also possible. But guys, before this, let me tell you one more thing. There's some exception. There might be possibility that you have the private IP and you other also have private IP, but even though you won't able to connect. So what is that exception? I will explain you in upcoming discussion. Maybe there I might introduce you the concept called VPN. So I'm not taking this topic right now. Okay, but if you have private IP and other also have private IP, you have a connectivity. For example, in this room, in this lab, this computer has a private IP and this also have private IP. Both can connect to each other. For example, this is one of my computer has a private IP. Okay, and and Windows is also one of my computer has private IP. So from Windows, if I try to connect IP 129, I can do. So you can see both the Windows have IP 141 something. We have a connectivity. Okay, so both, if you have private, you have a connectivity. So guys, this is a very commonly used rule. We have some exception here. We'll discuss in upcoming classes. Okay, this is one thing. Okay, now there's one interesting scenario. Let me explain you that scenario, and that scenario will explain you what is the meaning of DNATing. This is a source netting. I explain you, and guys, in networking world, this S stand for source. And guys, there is one more concept in the netting called static. So this here in my explanation, this is not static. Static is a different thing. So static netting is also one concept. It's a different thing. Here I explain you what's called S means source netting. Likewise, we have one more concept called D netting. That's called destination netting. Let me explain you this concept. It's a very important concept. And from this concept, and after this concept, I will explain you. We will go for the demo. Okay. So what is the D netting or destination netting, right? So destination netting, guys, is just a reverse concept of this. Okay. In this concept, guys, what we are trying to do, from my home, I would like to go to internet, or I want my private IP can connect to public IP. Okay. So if private want to connect to public, or from your home you want to go to internet, okay, there's a by default setup in your home. It's called SNAT. Okay. But if you do create this diagram in the reverse way, okay, and there's a very useful way, not for our home, but this is very useful way for the companies and the industries and the applications. What I mean by this, so there might be possibility, guys, you have one room. Okay, in this one room you have one computer, one laptop, or one server. Let's say this computer has IP 192.168.0.129. Again, you have one router or modem maybe, and again you have the ISP, and again you have a lot of guys over the internet. And now a requirement is, maybe in this computer, okay, this may be, let's say, Linux computer, and you have configured Apache web server. And in Apache web server, guys, you hosted some website or web pages. Okay, so it means IP 129 is running with the web server. Okay, but point is, guys, this web server is there in this OS. Let's say OS number A, and this OS A has IP, but the private IP. Or because they have the private IP. Okay, and guys, private IP can connect only from the private IP. It means anybody in the same room. Let's say this is one more computer we have. Okay, let's say this IP may be 192.168.0.130. Or this also private IP. So this computer maybe, let's say B. B can connect to A. Okay, and because I told you yesterday, because both the IPs are private, or even though I can say both the IPs same network. So normally in the same room or same LAN, I can say we have some internal device called switch. So used with the switch, guys, they have a connectivity. So B can go to A and can see the website. So technically, in simple term, both have the private IP, so they can, with the help of some device called switch, they have a connectivity. But intention here is, guys, our intention here is, right, from our LAN or from our room, or I can say in our subnet, if you talk about the VPC perspective. Okay, what I want, this is the one company website or e-commerce website we hosted. I want I want everybody in the world can access my website. But the challenge is, guys, if anybody want to access the website, here anybody means I'm talking about internet. And guys, normally anybody who come from the internet will always have public IP. It means what actually I wanted, public IP guys can connect to private IP guys. So the guys, this is just a reverse of my last experience. Here, from the private, we go to public. But here my requirement is public guys start the request, initiate the request, and come to private. How is possible? Okay, and I explain guys, public can't connect to the private. Yeah, ISP stops. Okay, so what can we do in this scenario? We have to do some kind of again manipulation. Again, you first of all, guys, you guys know we have a wire connectivity like this. Again, router has both the side some IP address. This side, let's say, router has a public IP, and this side router has some kind of private IPs. So all the things we already have established and discussed. So what can we do? Okay, now again here we will take the help from the router. And normally, guys, this setup is not available, not pre-configured in the router. Okay, we have to configure this setup on the router and say, router, I'm going to enabling one feature over here. And feature is that in this side you have the public IP, you have the public IP, and so what I'm going to do, okay, this computer A say, I know I have private IP, and nobody from the public world or internet world can come to me because I have a private IP. So I'm doing one interesting manipulation here. I'm announcing the entire world that if anybody want to come to me to see my website. Okay, so my actual IP is that computer A is saying my actual IP is this one. This is my real IP. Actually, is not. Is this IP belongs to router, and router is not a website. Actual website is running in A and IP 129. But IP, this company or this computer is announcing that my real IP is 1.2.3.4. And you know what, guys? Before we announce this, we create one one manipulation or one feature we enable on the router. I can say one rule we create in the router and say, router, if somebody in the future come to you at this IP address, okay, think they are not coming to you. They're actually coming for me. So what you do, just redact this request to me, to my IP address. So this kind of rule we have created. So let me explain you with practical. For example, this is one computer here. Let's say computer will be 2.2.2.2. Let's say have a public IP. And this company want to see the website of this computer. And this computer guys never know the private IP, because even though they know the private IP, they won't able to connect. So what everybody know, everybody know this IP. Okay. So what this computer do, this computer has some kind of connectivity. They create one packet and say, my IP is called source IP is 2.2.2.2. And I would like to go to destination called 1.2.3.4. So this is source and this is destination. And according to this computer, this destination is an actual website. So again, somehow using networking, they reach to ISP and say, from where you're coming, this IP, where you're going, this IP, both IP public, yes. So IP say you are allowed to go. And finally, ISP send this request to this guy. And this router accept this request because this packet destination is this one and router IP this one. Okay, but before guys, router go inside this packet, router see there's one rule here. And the rule is if anybody come to this IP on the router, a router have to change this IP. So this, if you talk about this packet, anybody coming to this destination. So what router will do, guys? Router will change this IP and replace this IP with this one. Means they will replace this destination IP. And guys, whenever you change anything in the NAT, in the IP perspective, is called NAT. And guys, here we are changing not the source IP, we are changing the destination IP. There's is called DNAT, destination netting. Or as soon as you change the packet, this become a new packet. Okay, wherever router has this kind of packet, router see where we have to go, destination. So router will IP forward this request to where? To this destination IP 129. Okay, and what IP 129 is a real web server. But as a perspective, what AC packets come to me because they see their IP. But A come to C, they see packets come from IP 2.2. So they think somebody from the internet reached to me, want to see my website. So they reply here again the reverse way. They again change the IP and reply to this guy. So public world perspective, okay, public world perspective, they think they get the reply from this IP. Okay, but internally, reply is coming from this IP. Public guys never see the private IP, but they can connect. Who help this? Again, router. Why? How? With the concept called DNATing. And guys, this is the exact concept all the company use behind the scene. Okay, what I mean by this, whenever you guys connect to Google or Facebook, whatever IP you use for the Google, that is not the actual IP of the Google server. They have the one of IP on their router. Okay, we reach to their router and they do some kind of DNATing, and internally some of the internal private computer we connect and they are the one who reply. We never know the internal IPs of the Google system servers, even though we have connected and get the reply from those guys. Okay, and guys, this setup is not normally we use in the home. Okay, and that is the reason, guys, if I ask you and if I give you a challenge, right? So I'm giving you a challenge, guys, that this is my computer, I'm giving my IP to you. Okay, and this my IP is 129. Just connect me. Interesting thing is, I am also connected to internet. You guys also connected to the internet, connected to the internet. We have Everybody has a complete connectivity, one end to end. But even though if I ask you just go and connect to this IP, it won't possible. Because from my laptop perspective, you are sitting on the internet. So any package come from you has a public IP because your router convert your IP to public. But you're trying to reach to me in my private IP, and I told you guys from private public to private is one possible. It means if I configure my computer as a web server, maybe guys, my computer might be already configured as a web server. You guys know how to configure web server. So right now, guys, my computer is already configured as a web server. I have this website with some data. I don't know what data I've written here. Okay, so so this computer is configured as a web server, and everybody know this IP address. Even though we have all the connectivity, I have network card, I have IP address, I have a router, you have a router, we have complete network line connected, but you can't able to connect because my computer IP is private. So from your computer, if you want to connect to my computer, it won't possible. Why? Because my laptop don't has a public IP. So either I give public IP to my laptop and give to you my public IP, or I'll do one thing. I go to my home router and modem and enable this feature. And sometimes, guys, this feature is also known as port forwarding. Sometimes, not IP forwarding, port forwarding. So I can say port forwarding is one of the sub feature of DNATing. I can say in this way also. Okay. So depend upon, guys, your router. Almost 99% router or modem has this facility, but you have to configure it. It's not by default configure. You go inside the router and the modem. You can find feature called port forwarding, enable there, and there they ask you where you would like to forward, and you have to type your IP of your internet private one. Okay, so there's a different thing, but again, we are not pure into networking classes about modem and other things. But this concept is very important. Without knowing this concept, working with the VPC is impossible. Impossible. Okay, so now, guys, there's two concepts I explain you. Both concepts are a little bit same, but in the reverse way. Okay, now now in the AWS VPC, you can implement both the concepts. If you are looking for DNATing or if you are looking for SNAT, both the concept is there. Okay, one of the concept, guys, there. If I go to VPC again, Okay, so one of the concept is known as internet gateway and other concept is known as net gateway. So both the concepts is available here, depend which kind of netting you would like to set. And guys, in this training I'm going to show you both the setup, S netting also and D netting also. Okay, both the concept, but but in but uh, by default by default um, internet gateway is pre-configured by the AWS in your account. Okay, and guys, internet gateway here has has uh, uh, has this concept of you can think internet gateway is equals to in the AWS perspective I'm talking about, internet gateway is equals to DNAT. I'm talking now purely about a service called VPC. Okay, so if you guys understand DNetting and if you want to implement DNetting in the AWS world from the service called VPC, for this, okay, for this they have a concept called internet gateway. Plus, internet gateway has some extra feature facility. I will explain you, but mainly you can think if you want DNetting in the AWS cloud, we have internet gateway. But if you want S netting, there's a by default setup in your home network. If you want to go for S netting, then in the VPC we have a service called Net Gateway. But don't worry, guys. When I start implementing this, I'll take one great use case, and then I implement. You will be very much comfortable with this concept. Okay, so I'm just giving the name. Okay, what depend what exactly you want to implement here. So so what I'm doing here, guys, this spectacle is actually huge. Lots of things we have to set up, but I have, before guys I'm setting up this environment, I just want to show you one quick demo. Okay, so that you will at least get the idea what exactly is happening here. So what I'm doing here, okay, very quickly I'm showing, but I will explain this example in more depth from very basics when we are a self create a custom environment. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about here is in AWS. I told you yesterday, when you create a new account in AWS, they give you pre-created lab or room that's called subnet. And whenever you want to launch any OS, it's called EC2 instance, you have to launch in some of the subnet. But when you launch any OS, AWS provide a private IP. So very quickly, let me show you. So I'm going to launch one EC2 instance in one of the lab. But this lab, guys, is not created by us the way I created yesterday. This lab, I'm going to use a default lab given by the AWS. So what I'm doing here, I'll go to EC2 instance. Okay, and launching one OS here. So what I'm going to show you, I'm going to use a default VPC and default one of the lab in one. You can think, but it is a default means is given by AWS, and the lab that is given by AWS and subnet given by AWS has pre-created internet gateway. They have already created for us, and all the internal setup they have done for us. A lot of things they have done for us that I will show you. Uh, ourselves, we'll create our own internet gateway also. But this gateway is already created by this guy, and they also have put one switch internally. They also have this kind of network connectivity for us. And this internet gateway, guys, I told you already, is like a router. So this setup, guys, they have already done for us. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. So for the practical, guys, it is the same the way we always use. And let me use one of my key. I don't know which key I have in my laptop right now. Maybe this one. And launch. So you know what happened, guys? As soon as you launch this instance in this lab in this subnet, let's say 1A, okay, they will provide you the private IP. And now you know my laptop here is my laptop is here. Okay. So for this instance perspective, my laptop or my Windows, okay, if my Windows would like to go and connect to this OS, so obviously they have to use some internet line, the reach here, and then from here the connect to this guy. And guys, till date, even though from the first day we had connected this computer, we have connected this computer hundreds of times. And how we connected? With SSH. So what I'm going to do here from my laptop right now, in my case is Windows, I'm going to do SSH, and everybody know, guys, how to do SSH here. Okay, but interesting thing that I'm going to tell you here is, right, if any computer, right, you guys please try to understand this line. If any computer that has a private IP, okay, private IP, or if this computer has a private IP, but anybody, okay, from the internet try to connect this computer has a private IP, according to this computer packet or this computer IP is a public IP, because only public IP can come to the internet. For example, for my Windows, if I want to go out, maybe my Windows don't have public IP, but my router will change the IP of my Windows. The way I explain you here, the IP has been changed. So in the simple term, from my Windows, let's say my Windows has a public IP, and from my Windows, I am trying to connect to this computer. And this computer is somewhere in some of the room or lab or subnet. But right now, this computer has a private IP. And how I know this computer has a private IP? Maybe you can see here. This computer is launching here. Okay, and if you click here in this computer, you see this computer has one private IP. And who has given this private IP? AWS guy has given, or I told you yesterday, by default, whenever guys computer has a automatic IP come up, some services, DSCP is one program running or server running, they have a connectivity and they are the one who give this IP to this guy. But right now, technically, the important point here is, right, that this computer has a private IP. And who want to connect to this computer? My Windows. And according to this computer perspective, because they are coming from the internet, so this computer, my Windows, has a public IP. Point is, from my Windows, if I use putty as a program, okay, sorry, I use putty as a program. You guys know how to use putty, right? We use multiple times. Okay, and from a putty program, guys, come on, what is happening? Okay, do you know the IP? Yes, I'm using this IP. But right now, guys, I'm sitting in my Windows and I'm going to one of the IP running in some other room, and that room or subnet has a private IP. So for this private IP perspective, my computer is a public IP. A public can connect to private. So if I try to connect this guy, fine, guys, they keep on trying. Guys, here they're trying, and finally they fail because public guys is trying to connect to the private guys. It won't possible. So finally, guys, will see it will fail. But so it means how can they connect? So only way possible is whatever router they have connected. Let's see here, finally it's failed. The whatever router they have connected with. Okay, this router have one public IP. So what happened, guys? You know what happened, right? What these guys has to do? Okay, they first go to the router and say, router, can you please create one rule that anybody who come to a public IP, change your public IP and redact to me. And second thing is, I'm not going to announce my private IP to anyone in the world because nobody can come. So I'm announcing your IP to the entire world that this is actually my IP. Okay, but anybody from outside the world, if they connect to you, take the request because they can connect to you because you have public IP and they also have public IP. But internally, after take the request, convert this IP and send to me. So it means It means uh, if you know this public IP of their router that I'm going to show you, where you can see, if you know this public IP of the router or internet gateway, okay, and in this public IP, if you do SSH, so technically your Windows or my Windows is doing SSH to this public IP. Enter this public IP is the IP of the router. But as soon as I landed to this router, to the router will change or do the netting and actually take me to this instance. So it's what? It is a DNATting. So anybody come to my router IP as the destination, router will change the destination IP and send to the intercomputer. Before this, you should know the IP of the router. And how can you see the IP of the router? And this is the location you can see. So the IP that we use till date and that we feel this is the IP of this computer is actually not the IP of this computer. This IP actually associated, is not visible here, but this IP is actually associated with the router or the internet gateway of the AWS. It means if you connect to this route IP, okay, using PuTTY, the last time there was fail, but if you connect here, you can see they have a connectivity. See here, okay, yes. Then ask the IP, or maybe you can connect from here also. Okay, let me connect from here. So technically, we are connecting to public IP. But interesting thing, or what you'll see here, if you connect to this IP, let me connect. Okay, so for us, we are connecting to this IP, and we feel this is actually IP of the computer, but internally this IP actually belongs to internet gateway. Okay, or because as soon as we reach this IP, this internet gateway internally is not visible for me. Net this IP, change this IP, and replace the IP through this private, and finally landed me to this IP. So it means when you connect to this IP, finally, if you reach see here and run ifconfig command and ask, can you tell me your IP? You will see the IP is this one. So guys, very interesting if you try to understand. I connected to this IP 13 something, but finally I landed to 100. Or if you go to this screen, okay, this screen, uh, 1 minute. You connected to this IP, but finally you landed here. Okay, but because actual IP is this one, that belongs to the real server or web server, whatever you configure here. But nobody can directly connect. So this computer announced that my real IP is this one. These computer know, AWS internet setup know, this is not the IP of the computer, but they announce. Okay, because everybody knows nobody can come from the internet to the private IP. So till date, guys, the setup we use is this one. Even though we never know about the setup, thing was working great, but this setup, and guys, this setup is already pre-given by AWS. The internet gateway, all the rules they have given to us. This reason, guys, anybody can use this. But in my next class, I will show you all the setup step by step. We'll create our own network gateway, own routing table, own net gateway, internet gateway. Everything will create. So when I go step by steps, you will understand this concept more clearly. Okay. So guys, today I just already explained you the concepts and I already explained you the pre-created setup. And that might be the reason why we always use a default VPC, because default VPC given this pre-setup. But if we create our own VPC, everything we have to configure from the scratch. And that would be the topic for my next class. So next class is very important. Obviously, next Saturday we'll do lots of things we will do in the setup. But for for a lot of guys, they might be very new in the networking. They might not able to understand everything. Maybe 5, 10, 20% they might able to understand today. But don't worry, guys. This networking concept will come in multiple different way, in multiple future practicals also. You will comfortable. But otherwise, I will ask my team to share today's video to everyone. So anybody who would like to revise today's topic also. So will share, guys, today's recorded class to everyone. I suggest guys before the next class, just try to go to this class again if you want and try to comfortable, because next class is very important. Where I'm going to show you the entire custom VPC from the scratch. So that's all guys from my side. Any questions, any query if you have, uh, you guys can ask me. So somebody asked me if iOS asked me if you receive the packet from the Google, this DNetting is enabled. No, if you're one side and netting enable, so reverse packet will come. So there's a concept called session actually. So if in your router SNATing enable, it means you can send the packet to Google, but when the Google reply, router remember that part that somebody already sent this request. So they create, you can think on the fly, they create DNetting rule for you. That's actually called session for that request only. Can we create a business related application on the top of it? Yeah. Yes, yes. Also, this is one of the great platform for, especially for startup, right? So almost all the startup use the cloud platform for application to be deployed. We'll discuss the machine learning service or AWS. Pankaji, yes, but only condition is we'll discuss the machine learning services only in my Earth classes. Manish, don't worry. My next class will explain you all kind of network setup on the top of AWS. So maybe in the future, you guys might want to use create a Hadoop setup also. What do you ask me? You can also do. Yes, guys. Varshita, everyone in the world who is using internet by some ISP, they have to pay their ISP. But maybe Google might have some of the ISP their own. There's a different point. But if they're using internet, because if you guys remember, I explained in my some of the class AWS. If you want to, if you want to um, go here and there, internet is not the only one way. A lot of company has their own on I can say a private internet setup or a private global setup. Ajay, the one of the program I have explained in my some of the classes called NG-ROC. NG-ROC program is also behind the scene set some netting for us. So that is the reason from the outside world you can connect to a private computer. Ashwin, you can use any kind of internet connectivity, maybe USB tethering or any kind of internet connectivity you do from your mobile to PC. In any of the cases, they establish netting for you. So um, somebody asked me if nobody can connect our computer from the outside world, so how hacker attack the system? You know, guys, hacker never attack the system. You are the one who are going to the hacker. You know, you normally you visit some website and you download some software. Okay, so that software is the one who collect the information from the laptop and send to the hackers. Okay, that's the reason we always ask, don't download any unwanted software from the internet. Okay, so this is one of the manipulation way. Hacker said I can't come to a computer, but your computer can come to me, right? So they put a lot of software in the market, keyloggers or something like this, through which they connect it. Yes, yes, Avi and Assam, right, is a great concept. So I think 1 minute, guys. In a lot of interviews, also they talk about and ask about the netting concepts. So it's good to know these concepts. 1 minute, guys. I missed all the questions over here. Just give me 1 minute. Venkatesh, we have to focus on both, on the tools also and the programming also. Both work together, right? Even though till now I keep on discussing about we understand concept, we go to programming, create a tool, automate the thing. So everything work together, right? Yes, Rahul, ping operation is happening because of your SNATing rule. Because if you have SNAT rule, you can go out and that will reply will come in automatically. You don't have to create both the rules. Okay. So you guys don't worry. Somebody asking me my yesterday video also. So I asked my team yesterday and today's video, both the video I will share, guys. Yes, Mohawk. In some of my classes, I will discuss about sport and reverse instant reserved instances. Right, very small concept. I will touch somewhere. Don't worry. So, so I'm taking some of the questions here. How to instance show different public IP even after launching the same name? Is this possible, guys? These guys, concept Bhaskar, maybe in my next class I will explain you. But normally in the router, we can associate multiple public IP. So one public IP belong to this computer, one public IP belong to this computer. This also possible. Let's go pool of IP we can associate with the router. We'll discuss in my next class. So that's all, guys, for today. I'll share, guys, my both the classes today and yesterday to everyone. Anybody who would like to revise, very important topic, not for AWS, for any of the networking world. I just go through this again. So that's all for today, guys. I um, what is switch in one word? Nisha, difference is in simple term, if two computer has IP of same network, we need switch to connectivity. Okay, for example, in your home, you have two laptops, and one laptop can able to ping to other because you have switch in your home. And you know where you have the switch, your Wi-Fi is work like a switch. But if one of your computer from your home, if you want to go to internet, means public IP. So your home has a different IP, Google has a different IP, means different network. There you require the router. Okay. So that's all, guys. See you in the next class. Bye.